Okay, let's move on to what actually is a good news story. You know, they struck down in Idaho this a system whereby agricultural firms could not be exposed for doing bad practices, and
Yeah.
they've struck that down, and that's a
Well,
really good thing, isn't it?
well, yeah, we've got this the Ag-Gag laws, which are absolutely enormous. I mean, they were being passed in all of these agricultural factory farming states and being backed by big food. So anybody that actually managed to sneak a camera into one of these factory farms and showed the abusive or the unsanitary conditions that your food basically lived in and the way in which animals were being treated, they were being branded, the ones actually filming were being branded as the criminals, as opposed to the ones doing the deed.
Was it only Idaho?
Well, Idaho is the test case. I mean,
Okay.
that's the first one to come back, and the federal district court judge struck it down.
They're bound to appeal against that.
I'm sure they'll
But
appeal,
even
but
so,
it's finally a sign that big food has lost, big media has lost because none of the big media would ever cover anything like this. So the mainstream media, and the other big piece of news on the legal front is that the Texas voter ID law was also struck down because it violated the Voting Rights Act. So we're beginning to see the courts shift and move into areas where they traditionally
that's
have.
got to be a good thing. That has to be a good thing. I mean, and the Idaho thing, particularly in relation to
Yeah.
a blow for smaller media freedom, and also a blow against big pharma. I mean, and the way that they treat, or the way that animals and crops are treated. We need to know these things, and it's a very important thing that I think that investigative journalism does have a role, and getting cameras in and exposing what's going on does have a very important role. And if the lawyers in Idaho are accepting that in relation to and striking down the fact that they are the journalists involved are the criminals in this, and that has to be a good thing.
Yeah, and it's if you look at this, yesterday, for example, the one thing that was never discussed, which is one of the things that bothers me most about the Republicans, is that the Voting Rights Act turned 70 or 50, excuse me, yesterday. Hiroshima was 70. Voting Rights Act yesterday was 50 years old. And this was a signature piece of legislation that got rid of Jim Crow laws, that opened up the ballot box for people of color, for everyone across the country, that they could finally vote. Yet what we've seen the Supreme Court do in the last year is take away so many voting rights, and not once was it mentioned during the debate last night that it was the 50th anniversary of it, nor was it mentioned one time that this law has been so uncontroversial that it's just been passed by Republican presidents and unanimously in Congress. Yet now this party, the Republican Party, does everything in its power to keep people of color from voting, because those are the ones that vote Democrat.
I just felt a lot of last night was actually rather superficial, really,
It was.
in relation to kind of, the issues were not properly, such as that, were not properly discussed. I mean, there was a lot in relation to Trump and all the rest of it, and trying to have a go at Trump and, Rubio and all the rest of it. But actually, in terms of discussing what we need to know, the issues at stake, it didn't really happen.
No, not at